It's a lot more possible than you might think. And I'm speaking from personal experience, having helped thousands of people start and grow their own profitable businesses. So let's break it down. Let's start with the reason most people don't get to 10K months, because this might be keeping you stuck too. That reason being, getting distracted. A lot of the time this happens when you're looking at other entrepreneurs who might be just a few steps ahead of you to see what they're doing, and then you assume that that's what you should be doing as well. But that's actually a horrible use of your time, because usually what you see them doing right now is not what they did to get to where they are now. But before we get to what to do to get to 10K months, you might be wondering, why 10K specifically? The reason is, for most people, 10K gets you to a point where you no longer have to stress about paying your bills. And that includes all of your bills, because when you're building a business, it's not just your personal expenses anymore. Even if you're running a super lean business, which we are all about around here, you still have to think about lawyer fees, accounting fees, tech, and one-off design assets. Not to mention taxes. Dun dun dun. Most people forget about these and end up so stressed about making ends meet while building their business. But we are here to make sure that that does not happen to you. So, drum roll please. The best way to get to 10K per month is to sell one product. Yeah, just one product that you can sell to a relatively small number of people to hit your revenue goal. Because that is so much more doable than the alternative of trying to sell a $100 product to 100 new people every single month, right? But if you're not sure how to package your knowledge and skills into a premium service product that you can sell at a relatively higher price point, don't worry, I got you. I'm gonna link another video for you right around here that's gonna walk you through step by step how to do that. And by the way, in case you're thinking it's not possible for you to sell your knowledge and experience at a premium price point, you are gonna love hearing about my client Rose, who sold her first ever addiction coaching package for 5 figures. She did not have any special advantage that you don't have. She was new to coaching and in a field where you don't usually assume that you can charge premium coaching prices. So we're gonna use her example to walk you through the exact steps to take. Starting with step number 1, which is the most important piece to start on ASAP, growth. Now, a lot of people make a huge mistake when it comes to this step. And that mistake is to assume that the best way to grow is to post on social media and then wait for your customers to come to you. Unfortunately, that saying, if you build it, they will come, does not apply to your audience or your content. And if you've been posting on social media without seeing a ton of growth, you've probably realized that it's the exception, not the norm, for new entrepreneurs to quickly go viral and explode their business. That's why our step number 1 is a lot more dependable. You take control of going out there and getting found by your ideal clients. No more posting and praying. Plus, when it comes to how you can do this, you have got so many options. So high five for being able to choose depending on where your strengths lie. For me, when I was starting out, because I am really good at teaching live, I pitched content ideas to a bunch of podcasts so that I could be interviewed and share my insights with their audience. And that's how I got myself in front of those audiences. You can do the same thing. Plus, you can also use PR, writing guest posts for other people's audiences, or content collabs. But for Rose, she knew that her strength lay in her network. So she let them know, hey, I'm starting this new addiction coaching service. Because her network knew and trusted her, plus the fact that she was fulfilling a need that people really wanted help with, people started sending her referrals. What I also really love about her story is that she got her first ever sale without a single post on social media, which just goes to show that there is always more than one way to build your business. Your job is to figure out the way that works best for you. But regardless of how you choose to grow, step number 2 is mandatory for anyone who wants to get their dream clients. Engage. Notice how I didn't say step 2 is to sell. Because the problem is that most people try to go straight to selling, which actually will end up shooting yourself in the foot. The reason is because when you're first starting out, you're usually not starting with an established reputation or audience relationship. That's why in this phase, nothing is more important than building those relationships with your potential clients. But before we talk about how to do this, fair warning. This is not that scalable, and it is gonna take your time and effort. But taking the time and effort to do this right now is what will allow you to be able to scale down the road. There will come a time for efficiency. It's just that in the beginning of your business, that time is not yet. Now, contrary to a lot of popular unwisdom, engaging does not mean randomly messaging people, faking connections before you hit people with a hard sell, or commenting on other people's accounts just to grow your own. Instead, it's simply asking the question, how can I help you? For example, when I was on this step at the beginning of my current business, I did this via my very small Facebook group. With every single member who joined, I tagged them in a welcome post and then sent them a personal welcome note too. And again, you are not trying to sell at this point. Don't worry, we are gonna get to that. But I was literally like, hi, I'm so happy to have you here. What is your goal for being here and what can I do to help you? The reason you're not thinking about selling yet is because when you do this, you have to do it authentically. Otherwise, people can tell when you're faking a connection so that you can try and sell them, and that feels gross. But honestly, you'll get sales much faster this way anyways, because people can sense that you're willing to help within reason without expecting a sale. And I'm specifically saying within reason because there is definitely a danger of being taken advantage of. If you're afraid of offering help because you don't want to be milked just for free coaching, here's how to set strong boundaries that also take care of you. First, whenever you feel like it's starting to become too much, you can always just say, hey, this sounds like something super detailed that would be a much better fit for my paid coaching. I'm happy to share more details about that if you're interested. Or if someone is asking tons of questions that could make for great content, make a post about it and share it with your entire audience. That way it benefits everybody, including you. Now for Rose, her step number 2 looked different than it did for me, because as we talked about in the beginning, she wasn't even on social media, but she was absolutely engaging with the potential clients that her network was referring to her. She would talk to them about herself, her own recovery journey, and her experiences and learnings. So she was able to build that trust with her potential clients through genuine conversation and a desire to help. The point here is there is no one right or wrong way to engage. Like with step number 1, it depends on your strengths and what you've got to work with. So even if you don't have a large network like Rose did, and like I certainly didn't as well, you can still connect with and engage with people. Remember, all you need to get your first or next client is that one right person. Which brings us to step number 3, where you do get to do that thing that you've probably been wondering about. And that thing is to sell. If you're like me, this might feel like the most overwhelming and scary part about growing your business to 10K months. Personally, I used to think that selling was something reserved only for super charismatic or extroverted people. As a hardcore introvert, that is not in my wheelhouse at all. So if you can relate, I recommend keeping it simple. First, give yourself a set number of times that you are going to sell every week. This way, you also can't give yourself excuses to back out. For me, I started by telling myself, I'm gonna sell at least 2 times a week. And that was usually pretty straightforward through a direct post where I talked about my coaching offer and then let people know, hey, if you're interested, go ahead and go to this link so that you can schedule a time to discuss if this is a good fit for you. But do not worry, this does not mean that you can't start making sales if you don't have perfect sales skills yet. Nobody starts with that. I certainly didn't, and Rose didn't either. Honestly, at this point, now having made well over $10 million in sales, I can truthfully say that making sales is much less about having the perfect set of skills or script than simply being able to help someone with your product. I told Rose this too, so she stopped worrying so much about her sales skills and focused more on getting to know people, sharing her experiences, and asking that winning question, how can I help? The cool thing is, this is actually a way more effective way to sell than using any sort of smooth objection handling type script. Because when you do it this way, you're actively listening and sharing how you can help, instead of worrying about what perfect thing to say next to convince someone to buy from you. So it feels much more natural for your potential client to take that next step of buying from you and thus getting your help. But even doing it this way, I know that this third step can still feel like a big challenge. It definitely was for me. Because of my upbringing, I initially felt ashamed of having something to sell. But what really helped me, and I hope this will be helpful for you too, is if you approach sales from that service posture of, I'm here to help, then there is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, you should be proud of having something to sell because it is making a difference. So trust that there are plenty of amazing people who want your help and are happy to pay for it. But I do need to warn you. Summing up getting to 10K months into 3 steps feels very neat and tidy. But when you're in the thick of growing your business, it's gonna feel much more overwhelming. Plus, there's so much information out there, you might be tempted to question if you're still doing the right thing, especially when you see other people who are many steps ahead of you and it makes you feel like you're behind or missing something. So you will probably be tempted to take your focus off of these 3 steps, to maybe try and create a fancy funnel, pump out tons of content, or attract a really big audience. The moment you do, snap yourself back. Because the truth is, the most important thing you can do for your dream business right now is to first get to 10K months consistently. And you don't need any of those things to do that. There will come a time to focus on your funnels, your content, and your audience, but not until after you've built yourself a solid financial foundation first. That being said, one other thing you can and should focus on right now is to make sure that you are selling something that other people actually want to buy. Because otherwise, it won't matter how much they trust you or like you, they still won't want to buy from you. That's why in this next video, I lay out for you step by step how to craft a highly desirable first coaching package. That includes your pricing, structure, timeline, and offering details. Make sure you get this right so none of your sales and marketing efforts go to waste. I will see you in that next video.